The co-op is making headlines again, this time by putting Palestinian beer on its shelves. That just comes weeks after banning Israeli goods. The retailer says it's proud to stock Tabor's Sun and Stone lager. Well, joining me now to discuss this is writer and broadcaster Jonathan Sacerdoti. Have you tried this? I believe you have tried it. And what's your take on the story?
That's right. The co-op is boycotting all Israeli products, but now it's stocking this Palestinian beer. Though it's not really Palestinian beer because they're going to be brewing it in Scotland under licence. But whatever. It's not really surprising, I think, because the co-op often adopts these sorts of woke positions, and co-op CEO Shireen Khoury actually has Palestinian heritage, so I suppose it's within their rights to do what they like. But it is strange, if you ask me. I have been to the Tabor brewery, actually. I've met that lady you saw there in the photograph of the news coverage of it, Madis Khoury. I went there in 2017. I bought wine there from their winery and took it back to Tel Aviv, where I enjoyed it for Shabbat dinner, for the Friday night dinner with family. So it's not unusual for their products even to be consumed within Israel, of course. Now, the strange thing about it is I interviewed Madis Khoury after that 2017 visit. I interviewed her last year as part of a podcast I do, and she is a Christian. The reason she can brew alcohol and make wine in those territories is because she's a Christian. Now, imagine if Hamas won an election. They don't have them very often in the Palestinian Authority, but if Hamas won, this extremist jihadist Islamist organization, I wonder what would happen to her brewery, seeing as Islam takes a very uncompromising stance on alcohol. Islam treats it not merely as a private vice, but as a corrosive force on the individual and society. And the Quran culminates its teaching with a categorical prohibition. It says that it's a defilement from the work of Satan. So I think it's really a bit of a confused message when it comes to the co-op's decision here, and it's also quite ironic that they're trying to make a point about what's going on with the Palestinians by using alcohol in this way.
Well, indeed, Jonathan. Well, we've got a clip of your interview with Madis Khoury. We'll just play that now if we can.
What happened with Hamas's attack specifically on women on the 7th of October? How could you receive that? How did you react to that where you are? I'm talking about the gender-based violence that's been making its way out in the New York Times and elsewhere at the moment.
I've been living in this country for the past 17 years and doing business in the brewery and in the West Bank for 17 years, and I've never faced any problems, me personally. When it comes to Hamas, whether I'm in the West Bank or whether I'm in Gaza, also Palestinian women do get harassed and attacked by Israeli soldiers and settlers as well. So it's unsafe for us Palestinians and Palestinian women to move around in the West Bank as well.
Well, there we have it, Jonathan. And of course, you've tried the beverages from Tabor. What do you make of those?
Yeah, well, let me just say about that clip. I asked her, as a Christian woman in the West Bank, what she thought of what Hamas had done to women in Israel when they invaded on October the 7th. Hamas and other Palestinian terrorists, they raped and killed women. There was gang rape, individual rape, kidnapping, of course. She had literally nothing to say about that. All she had to say was this rather circumspect, well, life's not that easy for Palestinian women either, which I think was very mealy-mouthed of her. And I gave her a second chance in that interview to say, just as a woman, as an empowered businesswoman, a Christian woman, facing this same kind of Islamic jihadism yourself within your own society, don't you have anything to say about this disgusting, shocking behaviour towards women? And she refused twice to condemn it. So I think that's very important. And I think that the co-op should be asking themselves whether or not they do want to stock beverages, however nice they might be, made by somebody who won't have condemned the sexual violence of October the 7th, when they are trying to put these sorts of ethics at the top of their buying decisions. So I think that's very important. They are choosing to buy from a Christian minority group that is producing a Christian minority group that she told me in that interview, Christian population in the Palestinian areas has gone down from 12 to 15% to something like 1%, I think she said at the time. And that's because of the Islamic persecution of Christians by groups like Hamas and by other Islamic groups in the Palestinian society. And that is who the co-op are choosing to prioritise over products made by Jews in Israel after October the 7th. So I don't think it really matters whether the beer is particularly nice. I mean, it's basically an average beer. It's an average lager. It's not really worth it. But co-op customers, it's a commercial decision. They probably love this because they're the kind of people who want to drink something. The slogan of that company is taste the revolution, drink Palestinian. So of course co-op want to do that, but we all did taste the revolution on October the 7th. We saw exactly what the revolution looks like. I think they're really showing their true colours here.
Well, Jonathan Sakadosi, you've taken all the words out of my mouth. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us about that interview, and let's play that clip as well. Thank you very much for joining us today. Well, Tabor Beer have been contacted for comment, and we will update you when we hear back from them. But Debbie White, COP's chairman, defended the move and said, as a business, we have a long-standing legacy of doing the right thing, supporting fair trade and championing ethical sourcing as well as this. And this policy is a natural progression of this.